So, you've been getting bullied at your locals by what? Cyber Dragons. Hey, I know a thing or two about this, and I'm gonna teach you right now, here in a simple video, how to beat Cyber Dragons. It's really simple, but the way they play through everything, makes it a little difficult, so you gotta know what you're doing. I'm here to teach you how. Get ready, you're about to beat Cyber Dragons. We will talk about the searchers first. There is Cyber Dragon Core and Cyber Emergency. Let's start with Cyber Dragon Core. Cyber Dragon Core is the best normal summon in all of Cyber Dragons. If that monster is normal summoned, the Cyber Dragon player can search a spell or trap, a cyber spell or trap. That needs to be stopped. So here's exactly how you're going to stop it. Some common examples would be Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, Infinite Impermanence, or any Omni Negate you have on the field. However, if you have an Omni Negate and the other hand traps as well, I highly suggest using the hand traps first. Now, let's make a new example. Core and Emergency. Play under the assumption that your Cyber Dragon opponent always has both. If you have an Impermanence and an Ash Blossom, use the Impermanence on Core so you can save the Ash Blossom for Emergency. This means that in the optimal setting, the Cyber Dragon player will be going second. So on your first turn, you should be setting your Impermanence if you've drawn into it. Since Impermanence can only target monsters, you should use it on Cyber Dragon Core to stop that, saving your Ash Blossom for the Emergency in case they have it. Alright, now the reason that negating Cyber Emergency is so important is because Cyber Emergency can add any Cyber Monster or Cyber Dragon from the deck to the hand. This means Cyber Emergency can search Cyber Dragon Core, and Cyber Dragon Core can search Cyber Emergency. They go hand in hand, which means you need to negate accordingly per card. Core gives you access to all your cyber spells. Emergency gives you access to all your cyber monsters, meaning you have access to almost the entirety of your deck if you're a Cyber Dragon player. This way, you are in perfect position to play as much as you'd like unless you're interrupted, which is why the interruption must happen to both cards. There are two more searchers you need to be on the lookout for: Cyber Dark Claw and Cyber Dark Realm. Claw just gets you to Realm, so we're gonna just ignore Claw and focus on Realm. Realm can be searched by Cyber Dragon Core, which can be searched by Cyber Emergency, which is why the previous statements about the previous cards are important, because if you get Cyber Dragon Core and draw in by the search to Cyber Dark Realm, you can get the Cyber Dark Chimera. If Chimera hits the field and it manages to activate his effect, your Cyber Dragon opponent will have Power Bond. Power Bond is a fusion card that doubles the attack with the machine monster summoned, and if they Power Bond into Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, they can and will attack you for game. This needs to be prevented. Continuing on with what to negate, the reason I said earlier to save your Omni Negate and use the hand traps instead was so that you could use your Omni Negate on Power Bond. If your opponent cannot Power Bond, they cannot attack you for game 9 out of 10 times. Also, watch out for fake outs from your Cyber Dragon opponent. If your opponent discards Cyber Dark Claw to search Cyber Dark Realm, a lot of the time this is to bait out and make you waste your hand traps so they can use their better cards like Cyber Dragon Core or Cyber Emergency. Lastly, the tried and true way to shut down Cyber Dragons for the turn is, after their first search, activate Drolan Lockbird. They would have to have an extremely lucky hand in order to play through that, and even if they could, it's not going to be enough to kill you in one turn. So, to face off against Cyber Dragons, have a lot of interruption and hand traps. Ash Blossom, Imperm, any Omni Negate, Drolan Lockbird. These will help you immensely against a Cyber Dragon player. Before we move on, honorable mention for a card you'd want to negate is Cybernetic Horizon. This card searches and sends cards to the graveyard, which is going to tie into the next segment about cards you want to remove from the graveyard. Here are some repeat offenders of Cyber Dragon cards and Cyber Dragon Tech cards that I play in my deck specifically that have graveyard effects. These are the graveyard effect monsters in the correct order based on priority, from greatest priority to least priority, that you should be banishing from the graveyard. Starting with Cyber Dark Worm, then Electromagnetic Turtle, then Cyber Dragon Core, and lastly, Cyber Dragon Hertz. I am now going to explain to you why these cards are so dangerous in the graveyard and why you should be removing them. Starting with Cyber Dark Worm. Cyber Dark Worm in the graveyard will send a monster from the deck to the graveyard and summon itself. It can also do this from the hand, and this is a once per duel effect. However, this is a free summon on a Cyber Dragon body that is level 5. Cyber Dark Worm is a combo extender and is a free gateway into Cyber Dragon Infinity. Cyber Dark Worm also allows you to put more of your graveyard-oriented monsters in the graveyard. This is why he's the #1 threat, because he will set you up for more combos and keep it going. Next threat on the list is Electromagnetic Turtle. This card is a once per duel effect that in the graveyard during the battle step, you can banish it and in the battle phase. If a Cyber Dragon player is not able to kill you on their first turn, having that Electromagnetic Turtle in the graveyard ensures that they have a chance to survive the relay turn. This card on its own would not be good for the deck if it weren't a machine that is a light monster, which synergizes perfectly with the deck's archetype and type. There are a multitude of ways that Electromagnetic Turtle can find itself in the graveyard, but the most common way is by Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, followed second by Cyber Dragon Naxter from the hand. So if your Electromagnetic Turtle isn't in the deck to be sent by Rampage, he can still find his way in the graveyard. The turtle is a security method to prevent the Cyber Dragon player from losing on the follow-up turn, and that's why this is the #2 threat to banish from the graveyard. Next up on the list is Cyber Dragon Core. Cyber Dragon Core in the graveyard has an effect that if you have no monsters on the field, you can banish him and special summon a Cyber Dragon monster from the deck. The reason that this is good and you want to banish this card from the graveyard is Cyber Dragon Core is a second chance. A chance to start over, and summoning a monster from the deck, depending on what that Cyber Dragon monster is, could extend into an entire built-up board. Depending on the state of the hand and the graveyard, this second chance can bounce back from a losing game to a winning game, and that's why Cyber Dragon Core should be banished from the graveyard if you can manage it. The downfall of this effect being Cyber Dragon Core can now not use his search effect on summon. So it's a bounce back, but Cyber Dragon Core can't actually search a Cyber Spell or Trap that turn, making it lower on the priority tier. Next is Cyber Dragon Hertz. When it is sent to the graveyard from anywhere, it adds to your hand a Cyber Dragon from the deck or the graveyard, and since a lot of your Cyber Dragons are actually named Cyber Dragon in the graveyard, you can get just about any of your Cyber Dragon monsters. This allows you to recycle and extend your combos if you wanted to play a Naxter or a Cyber Dragon Core, or just get another Cyber Dragon into your hand. So plain and simple, Cyber Dragon Hertz is a combo extender. Okay, now that we understand what the Cyber Dragon graveyard threats are, how do we handle a graveyard threat? Well, this is actually fairly easy. There are a lot of main staples that are used commonly that can handle the Cyber Dragons in the graveyard, like the Bystial lineup, or Called by the Grave if you wanted to use it for that purpose, or cards like DD Crow. There's also cards that, if your deck allows it, that banish cards going into the graveyard as they go, such as Dimensional Fissure, or maybe Dark Law. I might have to read that again, but maybe Dark Law. and many more cards. There's a lot of cards to handle this type of thing, but I believe that the cards that I stated might be the most common and safest ways to do this, but that is how you tackle the Cyber Dragons in the graveyard and stop the effects from happening. Now, before moving on to the extra deck monsters, I want to touch on 3 spell cards in the deck. 2 of these cards I consider high risk, high reward. The first one we touched on previously. This is Power Bond. It allows you to fusion summon a monster and double its attack. That monster's attack stays doubled. However, at the end of the turn this card is activated, you would take damage equal to that monster's original attack. So if your Cyber Dragon opponent were to Power Bond and summon the Cyber End Dragon, its attack would come out as 8,000. But at the end of the turn, your opponent would then take 4,000 damage. The goal of Power Bond is to make sure that you can kill your opponent before you have to take that damage. The next card is Limiter Removal. This card is a quick play spell card and can be activated at any time during either player's turn. I typically will activate it during the battle phase, but this card doubles the attack of all machine monsters on your side of the field. This is speaking in terms for the Cyber Dragon player activating it. But at the end of the phase, all monsters that were doubled will be destroyed. This is once again activated in hopes that the Cyber Dragon player will be killing you before they have to face that consequence. So Power Bond and Limiter Removal are the high risk, high reward cards, and if you're able to interrupt them enough after having activated those cards, the Cyber Dragon player is going to face a heavy loss. The third card is no strings attached, not high risk, high reward, only reward. It's called Clockwork Knight, which can be searched out by the link one, Clockwork Knight. This card turns all monsters on the field into machines. This is very good for Cyber Dragons, as Cyber Dragons can use machine monsters on both players' fields to make their fusion cards. This is called Contact Fusion, which is a process of fusion summoning without requiring a fusion spell card. This will also lead us into the next segment of this video, which is the extra deck monsters, and we are going to start with the fusion monsters. Starting with the fusion extra deck monsters, there is Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon, and Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. We are going to start with Fortress. Fortress is enabled through Clockwork Knight. His requirements are 1 Cyber Dragon plus any number of machines on the field, which means 1 Cyber Dragon plus your entire field that is now machines under Clockwork Knight equals Fortress Dragon, which essentially is like a board wipe. So note that 1 Clockwork Knight on the field and 1 Cyber Dragon on the field means all of your monsters plus that Cyber Dragon are all going to be used away to make Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Moving on to Mega Fleet Dragon, this card is specific for the zones you play in. So these extra monster zones here on the board, a lot of the new players like to put their big boss monster in the middle of the board. That is punishable by tribute because Mega Fleet requires 1 Cyber Dragon and 1 or more monsters in the extra monster zone. So if you put a monster in the extra monster zone, that is a free Mega Fleet. Granted that the Cyber Dragon player has a Cyber Dragon and a loss of your monster. So these are the 2 fusion monsters that are contact fusion targets. And these 2 particular monsters is why you need to be careful about placing things in the extra monster zone and be wary of Clockwork Knight being on the field. The next 2 fusion monsters are Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, as stated previously, and Cyber End Dragon. These 2 monsters are meant for the OTK. These cards are meant to wipe you out in 1 turn. We will start with Cyber End Dragon because he's the easiest. This card simply has 4,000 attack, so when Power Bond hits, he has 8,000 summoned that way and can easily go above and beyond. This card hits hard, and his only effect is that he deals piercing battle damage. For those of you who do not know what piercing battle damage is, the difference between that monster's defense points and Cyber End Dragon's attack points will be dealt to you as damage. You cannot defend against Cyber End Dragon. Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon is the more reliable OTK. This card can attack up to 3 times by sending light machine type monsters from the deck to the graveyard. This card on summon can also destroy spells and traps on your field up to the number of monsters used for its summon. So it is spell and trap removal, and it can attack up to 3 times. When Power Bond is used to summon this card will kill you. So these two land under the OTK category for extra deck monsters. Now, we're going to be calling attention to the negate extra deck monsters, and these are some of the most dangerous monsters in the entire roster. These cards being Hyos Varag, the Mechanical Dawn, Chronomaly Vimana, and Cyber Dragon Infinity. Hyos Varag, the Mechanical Dawn, can stop spell and trap cards. The other two are Omni Negates. While Hyos Varag and Chronomaly Vimana are both very good cards as they have negations, no threat matches Cyber Dragon Infinity, and we are going to get into the details why moving forward. So we will start with Hyos Varag, the Mechanical Dawn, to round out our fusion monster list. Hyos Varag, the Mechanical Dawn, is very good because whatever card you use to fusion summon him will be recurred back to your hand in the end phase, or the standby phase of the next turn. You can Power Bond into Hyos Varag and get your Power Bond back. So it's not a waste to fusion summon this card, and because he's a spell and trap negate, it's actually good to fuse him and get him out on the board. In order for him to negate these spells or traps, he must either banish himself from the field or banish 2 monsters from the graveyard. These requirements are both very easy to meet, and that's why Hyos Varag, the Mechanical Dawn is actually a staple to end on for turn 1 if a Cyber Dragon player unfortunately has to go first turn. Chronomaly Vimana is actually a new card that I've incorporated in the deck. I don't know how long other Sidra players have been playing this, but I've really enjoyed my experience with Chronomaly Vimana so far. So, this card is an Omni Negate, plain and simple. Hello, hi, it's voice over me. Turns out, whoopsies, I lied, I was wrong. Chronomaly Vimana is not an Omni Negate, it just negates monster effects. Keep that in mind as you continue to watch the video. Carry on. This card does have a quick effect. This quick effect being that if there's another XYZ monster in the graveyard, you can target one of your cards on the field and boost its attack by half the original attack of the monster in the graveyard, the XYZ monster. This does come up, not often, but usually if Cyber Dragon Nova's in the graveyard, detached from Infinity, that's usually when this happens. Other than that, this monster is a light attack point booster and an Omni Negate. As most XYZ monsters do, it detaches a material to do this. However, when it boosts the attack with that XYZ monster, it actually attaches that XYZ monster in the grave as material to it, so it kind of recurs some more negation power. Now we will move on to the most dangerous monster in all of Cyber Dragons. The man, the myth, the legend, Cyber Dragon Infinity, the most ferocious monster in all of Cyber Dragons, and dare I say, one of the scariest XYZ monsters in the entire game. Unlike the card I was wrong about while I was previously editing, I'm definitely not wrong about Cyber Dragon Infinity. Cyber Dragon Infinity can be summoned by evolving XYZ summoning from Cyber Dragon Nova to Cyber Dragon Infinity. This is very easy. Cyber Dragon Infinity, to make him through Nova, is simply 2 level 5 monsters. Monsters that can achieve this easily are Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dark Worm, Cyber Jormungandr, Galaxy Soldier. However, Galaxy Soldier plus Cyber Dragon Hertz is full combo into Infinity, and Cyber Jormungandr is full combo into Infinity. Now, what makes Infinity so good? Infinity is an Omni Negate. It's once per turn, but he can negate anything. He can also attach one of your monsters. It has to be in attack position, but he can attach one of your monsters to himself as material, so he continuously recurs resources. He only needs to detach one card to negate, and in my personal usage, I'll actually steal your card and then refuse to detach it until absolutely mandatory, so that you don't get its effects in the graveyard. And as simple as that sounds, it is really good for controlling the game state and making sure that nothing happens to the Cyber Dragon player. This card cannot be impermed, unless he's already activated his effect, but cannot be impermed, and also can be played before triggering Nibiru, which means he can negate Nibiru too. Cyber Dragon Infinity, fun fact, is also featured on the card artwork of Infinite Impermanence. Lastly, ways to prevent Cyber Dragon Infinity is just, by any means necessary, get Cyber Dragon Nova off the field. Try not to let your Cyber Dragon opponent, have 2 level 5 monsters. And lastly, if you don't want your monsters swallowed up, either have them in defense position or summon a monster that cannot be targeted, because Cyber Dragon Infinity does target to swallow up the monster. And that's it for Cyber Dragon Infinity. Now we're going to move towards the attack point boosters section of this video. Alright, for the attack point boosters, we already talked about Chronomaly Vimana, and we know that he can boost attack points. However, the most reliable attack point booster is the Link monster, Cyber Dragon Seeger. Cyber Dragon Seeger can target any machine monster on the field that has 2100 attack or more, and give them an additional 2100 attack. He can also do this to himself as a means to boost his attack points higher than you can attack over. And this is a good way to stall your opponent to keep yourself alive. The only other thing to know about Cyber Dragon Seeger is that any attacks involving that card deal no damage to either player the turn he has used the effect of boosting attack. Last things to note before moving on to the final segment is this deck can easily make Sky Thunder, Zeus, and Chaos Angel. These are both very scary things. Zeus can wipe the entire field, excluding himself as a card, and Chaos Angel can prevent destruction and banish on summon. So look out for these cards. Wrapping up this video, I want to talk about a couple cards that I think are good side deck options to go against Cyber Dragons. Now, I only have 2 cards here. One is Dimension Barrier. This is a trap card that allows you to choose any type of extra deck monster and prevent that card or that type of card entirely from being used for that turn. So you could say Fusion or XYZs, and the Cyber Dragon player just couldn't summon those that turn. And the next is the most egregious card on planet Earth, in my opinion as a Cyber Dragon player. This card is called System Down. This card allows you to banish all machine monsters on the field and in the graveyard for the low price of 1,000 life points. Doing that turn 2 and beyond is just pretty much an automatic win against the Cyber Dragons, especially if they've got their 1-ups in the graveyard or on the field. So with that being said, those are some cards that I think personally would work very well. Now, for my friends, this is the deck that I was using during our last tournament. I won this tournament. I'm giving you my deck list now. I've given you some cards to use and all the information you need to beat Cyber Dragons. For those of you who are not my friends and just viewers of mine, I hope you enjoyed this video. For those of you that are my friends, somebody beat the Cyber Dragons. It's really not that hard.